Have you ever made time for something like writing a novel or drawing a comic, but oddly enough, there's really just no progress being made? Hey everyone, it's MC Aquila, aka Mahira, and I've been around the block when it comes to, getting stuff done. I have 2 ongoing fan comics. I have co-written a 7-book series in the past 4 years, and I have a job and a normal life. So since 2015, when I started my first fan comic and began to pursue indie publishing, I've kind of tried out a variety of approaches for how to organize my time when it comes to, getting things done. And this isn't like an all-encompassing look at scheduling or time management, but like different ways to actually make the work easy to do. Like you've identified that you have the time. Like if it's just 30 minutes even, just when, every day or whatever. But like this is more the scheduling and the planning. And it's easier to walk you through it, so let's dive right in. Okay. Method 1 is starting up with just large blocks of time for one project each day. So, for example, let's say that I have 2 free hours or more every Monday evening. Or like here, let's say I have, 2 hours on Monday for the TRIFORCE of Power. And so I say, I'm going to work on it for 2 hours from 3 to 5 p.m. And so this approach gives me a nice, big chunk of time. And there are 3 pros, I think, to having big chunks set for yourself. This gives you, first, it gives you some wiggle room. Like if I need to take a break for 20 minutes for any reason, I'd still have 100 minutes left over. This would be great if I'm worried about being interrupted by family or so on. Even if I'm interrupted, I'll still have time left to work. Another pro of this approach is that it gives some freedom. Some people really like to kind of wing their workflow. So setting a big goal, like work from 3 to 5, then, doing that. And then it gives you the room to decide, how do I want to ease myself into that? That also ties into immersion. So, I know some people really enjoy immersing themselves in, a story world. They'll sit down, they'll light a candle that reminds them of the story, with a scent or whatever. And then they'll turn on their playlist and they'll spend 10 minutes or so just getting into the vibes of their story. That would kind of drive me crazy a little bit. But for some people, they love it. And so having these bigger chunks of time focused on just one story lets them kind of do the little rituals. And for some people, that can really boost their creativity. I believe that I tried doing these big chunks of time to just one project a day or so. I believe I tried that back in 2017, and it looks very nice on a planner. It's just, this one day, that one day. It's very tidy. But it didn't work. It didn't work for me. I didn't know it at the time, but I really need my tasks to be broken down more and more clearly defined. And also for me, if I worked on just one project for a large chunk of time, I'll get bored. I'll get distracted. It's just, especially if I'm just working on one project one day, now, for example, I will work on, generally I'll work on TRIFORCE of Power, mainly on, let's say, Mondays, but I'll also be doing some other writing stuff too for other stories. So yeah, so this is definitely a method that could work for some people, but just not me. Let me know if you've ever tried this method and how it works for you, because I'm really curious, because I kind of wish that this method works for me. Logically, it makes sense why this works. I totally get why this works. And I'm kind of frustrated that it doesn't work for me. The second approach that I've tried is setting up smaller time chunks to work on several projects. So this is similar to the previous approach, but it actually has different pros and cons. So let me see the example. I should have it up. Oh yeah. So you have 30 minutes for that, 30 minutes for that, 30 minutes for that. So obviously if you're like me and you get bored easily, yeah, this can be pretty great. Cause if you're working on pages and you're holy crap, this is so boring. You only have to work on it for 30 minutes. Then you can go work on another thing that's more interesting to you. And also this gives you a really specific small time frame. So you don't feel overwhelmed. So working 2 hours or a whole hour, if that feels really intimidating, trying for just 30 minutes or even just 15 minutes if you're feeling really if you really want to work on a project, but like it's really intimidating to you for some reason, maybe it's like really ambitious or something like that, having just like, oh, I'll just work on it for 15 minutes, that can work out really nicely for some people. This approach can also work really nice for busy schedules. Like, you know, if my week's just really busy, but I want to make sure I work on a project, being able to say I worked on it for even like 15 minutes or 30 minutes, even just 1 or 2 days out of the week, that can be really refreshing and rewarding, because like that's still progress. And if you work on a project 10 minutes, 3 days out of the week, that's still, you know, a whole half hour of work. So I did this in, I believe, 2018 and 2019, and it did not work for me because of the time frames. The time frames that I gave myself weren't sufficient to make the progress that I needed. So I would often say, like, you know, like for this, I'll work on it for like 30 minutes or 25 minutes. But for me, this is a weird perspective thing. For some reason, whenever my brain saw 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it was like, oh, that's not a very long amount of time. This task must not be very important. So where is that tone coming from? Anyways, but you get the idea. Like my brain like belittled it because like the small time frame, for some reason, my brain was like, this isn't being prioritized. It doesn't really matter. And then like I could even procrastinate it and push it off because of that. I don't know why my brain does that. It's weird. I doubt many other people would have this problem. I will say that I still do occasionally use this method for whenever like I really don't want to work on something, or whenever like something really needs to get done, or if I'm really tired. Having the specific time frame can help, and doing it just like every now and then, for some reason, that lowers the odds that my brain will be like, this is dumb and unimportant. Anyways, the third approach that I currently use now is a goal-based approach. So what I will do is to choose a certain amount of projects during the week and be like, okay, I want to try to aim to finish the inks for these pages, or complete these pages, or finish writing this chapter or something like that. And then I'll break down like, what do I need to do each day reasonably to meet those goals for those projects. So I think it's really, really important to mention that first, I will do this in my weekly planner whenever I'm planning out the week. And if I don't meet a goal that I set for a day, like that's okay. Like I can update and I can change that as I go, because I do a weekly planner like this, and then I do a daily to-do list. So if I fell behind, I can just add something on my daily to-do list. Like, okay, you didn't finish the pages yesterday, finish them today. So I think it's also important to mention that this method could be like incredibly stressful for some people. So like if I set the goals of like, you know, finish writing the chapter or do all the inks for next week's page, right? For me, I'm okay with like, if I only ink some of the panels, if I don't ink the entire page, like I'm okay with catching up the next day or the next night or whatever. But for some people, having a set goal and not being 100% sure that, you know, you can mark it off at the end of the day could just be like really intense pressure. And for those people, it might be easier to have like time frame based goals each day. But anyway, something really important is that after working on creative endeavors for about 7 years, as I mentioned at the start of the video, and working on them like every week, I have a very good sense after all this time of what I can generally accomplish on like a daily basis or a weekly basis. So yeah, sometimes I do still set goals that are too big or too small, but generally like they're on the mark. So like if I wasn't familiar with how I work and was constantly making goals that were way too big, that would be pretty awful. It would also be kind of bad if I was making goals that were too small, like for me, because that would kill momentum because I get lazy anyways. So this is the method that works best for me right now, and it's been a huge lifesaver. So I'm making this video both because I'm really interested to hear if any of y'all have tried this, how they've worked for you, or if you set up your time and your goals and stuff in a different way, or like if you even like don't make a schedule and you just go with the flow, like how does that work for you? Because I know that works really well for some people. And also, I'm also making this for me, because just as a reminder that, because every now and then I'll be like, wow, I wish I could do the time-based thing where I just set, you know, a couple hours each day for one project. That would be awesome. It looks cool. Lots of other people are doing it. And yeah, like it is cool, but I can't do it. So this is my reminder to future me. don't do it. Don't. Anyways, personally, I feel that experimenting with different approaches to how to get the stuff done is basically very important to help find out what's best for you. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see y'all in another video. Bye bye!